Hello and welcome to Flippin Through, the internet's most popular vintage Mad magazine review channel. Today we are flipping through issue number 90 of Mad magazine. It's from October 1964. 25 cents was the cover price, and that indeed was cheap. Before I get into this, I just want to say I really appreciate the views. If you guys enjoyed this video, if you could share it, that would mean quite a lot to me. You know, the more I do these, the more pride I'm taking in them, and so the more it's just the more I actually care that they do well. You know, go figure. But you might notice that this might sound better, it might look better. I'm trying out a different setup, and we'll see how everything turns out. I chose this. This is a Norman Mingo cover, probably one of my all-time favorite covers if I was forced to choose. I talk a lot about the visual gags in Mad magazine, and this one is a perfect example with the center of the donut looking straight through Alfred E. Newman's body on that signboard. I just love it. I mean, Norman Mingo is a king, in my opinion, and yeah, I think I mentioned in the previous video, if I could have original artwork from anybody, any of the usual gang of idiots, Norman Mingo would be the one that I chose. So this is one that I have doubles of. I'm doing a lot of the double issues. I take the nicer ones and I put them in magazine boxes, and the ones that aren't as nice, I don't take as good a care of. But so this is one of those that I have doubles of, and I have not found a new home for. So opening right up, more trash from Mad magazine, the 7th annual More Trash from Mad magazine, with a special full color fold out for free. That's pretty impressive. I mean, it wasn't until like the 2000s where they started going color. Or was it? I forget. When did they first start going color? It seems like it would be the 2000s, but the more I think about it, I feel like it may have been the 90s that they transitioned, and the 2000s when they started actually doing advertisements. Who knows? But somebody obviously knows. I shouldn't say that. Anyway, so we have in the vital features some great things. If celebrities ran for office, strange interludes of everyday, those misleading TV titles, a mad look at Fireman, auto accessories we'd like to see, and Mad Teenage Idol Promoter of the Year. And those are actually, they are the most vital. Those are the ones, as I was flipping through, that I ended up wanting to highlight the most. I didn't even notice this the first time I opened it up. That's amazing. I love that. We have some more. Nobody wrote, please, choke. Address some correspondence to Mad, Department 90, 850 3rd Avenue, New York, New York, 100022. This actually reminds me, I should tell the story about when I visited the Mad magazine offices in New York City. But we have some more of that Alfred E. Newman for President stuff. 3-ring Mad, one of those this is a Signet one. They had so many different publishers of those. It's hard to keep them straight because it was Signet, Ballantine, Warner Brothers, maybe just 3. So if celebrities ran for political office, if Steve Allen ran for senator, this would mean Steve Allen, he wrote for Mad magazine a few times. I know in the earlier days of the magazine, not of the comic. I know he did some writing for them. Jack Parr ran for vice president. The one that I really liked is this one. If Cassius Clay ran for congressman. And so, just Muhammad Ali speaking in those wonderful rhymes. I'll make this press conference short and sweet. In this here election, I can't be beat. I'd be perfection in the national election. There'd be no selection but me. And then I found this incredibly amusing. Sonny Liston, that Agent Raft, he hasn't voted since Byron Taft. I don't know why that made me so that amused me so much. But it reminds me actually of the television show Community, when one of the characters joins the football team, and he's doing these political raps, and one of them was it was Bing Bong Sing Along. Your name's Al Gore because your views are wrong, and it's just so absurd. I don't know. So anyway, the MAD Safety Council predictions. I kind of want to zoom in on this. This took me a second to really understand. So is this gonna zoom? Will this autofocus? All right, so here we go. Over the upcoming Labor Day weekend, the prediction: men who will be mistaken for dead, but who will actually be watching a New York Mets doubleheader on TV. And so right here we have 1,700,000 all the way up. So there he is, slowly sinking into his chair. Oh, his wife comes by, shocked, and screams for help. But that ending well above the 2,100,000 mark. Girls who will feel miserable and lonely because there are no fellows at their resort hotel. And so this bar graph ends, just shy of 2,100,000. Kids whose lips will get shredded when they get stuck to frozen fudgesicles. He eats it. Oh, stuck. Oh, God. I didn't notice that the first time. We're just ripping it off. And, I mean, we all know that pain, right? It was, I like that. I like the idea. I don't know if it was like, here, let's see can I get it back to where it was. I don't know if it was executed all that well, though. So we'll see. Etiquette by Sir William S. Gilbert. And I think this might be like that poem that was in one of the previous issues, where it was, I was just like kind of confused as to whether it was original or for the magazine or reproduced. I think between me and people in the comments, it was determined that it was probably just reproduced. I don't think that it was actually written by anybody on staff. So this one is one that I really, really love, and I think I've seen it in one of the reproductions, reprinted in some super special or something like that. But strange interludes in everyday life. And so the concept of this is basically the polite face that people put on when communicating. And so a strange interlude with a babysitter. Thank you so much for sitting. I'm glad you could get someone. I'm glad I could get someone reliable. And what she's really saying is, don't get a swelled head, kid. If I'm stuck for a babysitter, I'd even hire Jack the Ripper. I enjoyed taking care of your two wonderful boys. They're so unusual, so creative. You got to be creative to get your head caught in a washing machine, Mangle. I feel like anytime anybody who's like spoken to their child's teacher and they and they hear something like, your child's so creative, there's a lot not being said in that sentence, that's for sure. But I really liked this in general. Like down here we have a guy, business is pretty good, but don't get me wrong, it isn't that great. I don't want him to think I'm a failure, but he shouldn't think I'm a big success, in case I want to borrow money from him. Well, like I always say, money isn't everything. I always say this to my poorer relatives. If I said it to my richer ones, they'd think I was crazy. The illustrations in this, who did them? I missed that. George Woodbridge. I think it's really cool. I mean, you're capturing these, like the same character with these two expressions in the same panel. And I mean, like sometimes it's just like this very subtle variation. I mean, like this guy is just maybe too subtle, but I really enjoyed this. This is one that like is worth. This is worth pulling this issue out if you have it and giving this another read through, or it's certainly worth picking up this issue because this is a great one. So here we have a spy versus spy in the joke and dagger department. As I was reading these, something jumped out to me. Something that I was thinking about in relation to these old ones versus the ones that are done more recently, and that is the simplicity. The simplicity of these is just delightful. So we have the balloon of the black spy. He's feeling irritated that he would have this his visage sullied with a balloon. So he sees a stone and a slingshot, and he pops it. And that, of course, causes the bridge to collapse. Very simple. Like, it seems like more of the recent ones, they lose the simplicity of it. And it kind of makes it... Well, I shouldn't take it too seriously. But they lose the simplicity of the gags. And it gets into, like, these tricks upon tricks upon tricks, and it's not nearly as charming as it was in the past. So Louise Cram's realistic MAD scrapbook. I think I'm gonna zip through this one. If you look through it, though, I mean, there's some like, it's pretty funny. Misleading TV titles. This is one that you know, there are some that I know certainly. My Three Sons. That's one that I think is almost everybody knows. That was on reruns forever. And so we have the Three Stooges right there. Moe, Larry, and Curly. And then, oh, look at poor old Irving Stooge. Of course, this is preposterous because Curly wasn't even their brother. Wait, no. Larry wasn't their brother. It was Larry, Fine, and Moe and Curly Howard. Yeah. And who else was their brother? Shemp was their brother. Anyway, there's that, My Three Sons, The Farmer's Daughter, and of course the joke on this being the those old Farmer's Daughter jokes. Leave It to Beaver. I mean, I don't know. That was so corny. It's just a beaver. That's it. Where's oh yeah, I've Got a Secret. Now, this one, I don't know if I'm remembering it correctly, but I think there was an episode of this that's like pretty famous, and it was, there was an old man, he was ancient, and his secret was he witnessed the assassination of Abraham Lincoln. Or like he was there that night or something, and it turns out he was like a little baby, and you know, his mom brought him to the play or something. That's not the exact story, but it was something like that where it was a link to the assassination of Lincoln. So here we have the Sights and Sounds of the USA, some Paul Coker art. This is like the one. I need to start taking notes on these videos so I can reference back. In one of the past videos, there was another one of these Paul Coker, like big spreads, and it may have been like New York City, or this issue spotlighting Las Vegas, Nevada. Yeah, I think the previous one must have been like New York City or something. And I love his art, but I'll say the same thing I said last time, which is I think that his art is the most effective when it's constrained. So, you know, when he's working in like single panels, even if it's single panels filling the page, that's where his art flourishes the most. I mean, this is kind of cool, these like all the filigree and stuff, but I don't know, he's just not, I don't think he's as good at creating a whole scene as other artists. Like, I mean, one of them that comes to mind would be like Tom Bunk, or their names escape me now, but there was the one, yeah, I forget. Anyway, I'll move on. So a mad look at Fireman. So we have clang, clang, clang. They think they hear the bell, and it's just the fire pole repairman at it again, and so those poor firemen fall down on the on the thing. The fireman receiving a black eye. Like he breaks into there's smoke in the ladies' room, and he's stuck his head in through this door. He's hatcheted apart, only to be thanked with a sock right in the eye. The nudist camp, they're stripping down. Oh, what for? Oh, of course they have to get into the nudist camp. Listen, you have to respect the decorum of wherever it is you are. So if you're at a nudist camp, you can't just go waltzing around in personal protective equipment, all right? When in Rome, do as the Romans do. This one is, I love this one. So he's climbed this ladder. He's frightened. He's hearing the cries for help, and it was a bird. It was a parrot. I love that. I mean, I don't want to explain the joke because that makes it so much less funny. But I mean, it's the cries for help. It's a bird, but of course the bird can fly away. So not only did he mislead him, but the rescue was completely unwarranted. Oh, look at the boy. Give him a water pistol right to the eye. Scenes we like to see. After the Ball by Joe Orlando. That's the artist who wrote this. I'm not seeing any... Anyway, so maybe he... well, I guess maybe he just wrote it too, and they're not... Because there's not words. They're not giving him a writing credit. Anyway, so scenes we would like to see. This is incredibly depressing. Knock, knock. He brings a glass slipper. Oh, she's just delighted. He's so excited. He's reaching for the slipper because he's found his true love. And oh, he drops that tinkle. And he dejectedly sulks away. And then she has to clean up the mess. He just leaves the glass slipper. Her heart is broken, and she has to clean up the mess. That's terrible. The lighter side of summer romances. This is one, I don't know if it's like, this does not resonate with me at all. I never went to summer camp, and I don't know, is this summer camp? Or is this like something like in Greece, where he went out to like California or Florida? I don't know where he went, but where they go out and they do on this extended vacation over the summertime. I knew nobody who did that as a child. But anyway, this was my favorite one, though. So we have meet you behind the boathouse tonight at 10:30. Okay, Millard, is that you? It sure is. So they start smooching. Hey, you're not Millard Baber. Hey, you're not Kay Landau. I guess Millard isn't coming. Looks like Kay isn't going to show up. Oh well, as long as we're here. My name's Joyce. My name's Harold. And boom, they're back to smooching. Kids these days. Am I right? Anyway, so this, of course, goes on with some lovely lampoonery. Mad celebrity feature merchandising gimmicks. This is something that confused me. I need to go to IMDb. Because, so first off, Miss Barbara Streisand in Funny Girl. And so look at that, a great promotional thing, a Barbara Streisand nose. So look at this young fella's wearing that Barbara Streisand nose. He does look, he looks, I don't know, kind of waspish, I guess, with that nose. Now here's the thing. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Kirk Douglas. And so you have the Kirk Douglas chin. This is what I don't understand, all right? What I don't understand is, I've seen One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and I don't remember Kirk Douglas. So, let's see. Stars, full cast and crew: Jack Nicholson, Louise Fletcher, Will Sampson. Nobody's there. Not nobody. Everybody's here. Everybody who was in the movie, which was not Kirk Douglas. What am I not getting? I know somebody's going to help me out with this, because I know Streisand was in Funny Girl. David Jansen, The Fugitive. So, maybe I'm particularly sensitive to this because I have big ears. I think this is inappropriate. This is an inappropriate joke. All right? The nose is all right. Chin is acceptable. Ears, that's a bridge too far. And Burt Lancaster teeth. Picture of a kid wearing the Barbra Streisand nose, the Kirk Douglas chin, the David Jansen ears, Burt Lancaster teeth, and a Beatle wig, which started this whole mess. Anyway, so an incident at a red light, Wallace Wood. Gentleman pulls up. Oh, look at that. He has a nice Corvette. Presumably, is that a Corvette? It looks like it's supposed to be. This guy riding up in his little rat rod. And he says, "Want a drag, man?" Look at that. Get out of here, you beatnik. "Don't mind if I do." He snatches his cigar, does some puffs, and leaves him in the dust. That's how you deal with scoundrels. The Impressionist. An apt title. This is it. There will be no doubt. Oh wait, there will. Oh my God. Okay, let's rewind just a few seconds. This is it. This will no doubt be my greatest painting. I shall call it Cattle in Pasture. Sets it up. Look at him working so hard. Oh goodness. The bull comes. And there, the Impressionists' work. Artist in landscape. Look at they're just beside themselves. Here we go. Auto accessories we'd like to see. Artist Bob Clark. This reminds me a lot of in the last issue, which was actually the title on the cover. The cigarette one. The cigarette inventions. I just spilled my water. Some of these are pretty amusing because they're still problems. One is I guess the problems that, for me, do not exist anymore. Should we try something fancy? We're going to zoom in. Whoop, too far. So the problem, thoughtless clods who discard trash, garbage, and other junk along highways, defacing the green countryside. Solution is garbage disguiser disposal. This unit compresses litter into neat bundles, dyes them green, and ejects them off-road where they aren't noticed. Thankfully, litter is not nearly as bad as it used to be. We don't need to have commercials about it. What were people in the 60s thinking? I mean, they're just Anyway, I won't get into it. Problem, having seatbelts but forgetting to use them. And there's these, this is such a funny and also dark detail, is the shattered windshield where the guy was ejected through. And the solution, the seatbelt starter link. The seat buckle is wired to the ignition so that the car cannot be started without fastening the seatbelt, which we don't have that, but we have seatbelt laws, and you get assaulted with sound if you do not plug your seatbelt in. If you do not clip your seatbelt in. So I found that amusing. Going through, there's this, the low cars and having a seat that slides nicely out. The problem, stupid dogs that chase your cars. That is a problem of the past. And moving on to our spy versus spy. This is another one of those extremely simple ones that is just brilliant. We have a white spy showing off, showboating. He swallows a sword. He takes it out. Black Spy replaces it with an umbrella. And look at that. He gets the umbrella, what is that called? What are those called? Bumbershoot. The bumbershoot expands inside of him, presumably killing him. I can't imagine you could survive that. Mad's Teenage Idol Promoter of the Year. And I'm sure that this is just sort of like, it's one of that pop music stuff that, you know, still exists today, where they find somebody and boy do they push them and they create superstars out of them, whether you like it or not. So looking at the time, I'm going to end with the fold-in, which the next scientific medical breakthrough that millions of dollars will be spent to discover. Scarlet fever, arthritis, flu, encephalitis, lethargica, cholera, infantile paralysis, gripe. I think that one's fixed, right? Asthma, rheumatism, edema, typhus, tetanus, epilepsy, shingles, tuberculosis, heart disease, conjunctivitis, beriberi, dysentery, hay fever, varicose veins, pellagra. I don't know why that makes me laugh. That seems like it's a punchline a lot. Pellagra, 7-year itch, pneumonia, MAD, addiction. Oh, Alfred E. Newman. The health of the American people. I got to zoom in on this because this is important. This is timely too. The health of the American people, crippled and sick with all them terrible diseases and disorders and other things. This is what American industry scientists know is really important. So we fold it in. Safe cigarettes. Ending on a high note. And then there's this ad, which I believe I've talked about before, that I don't get. But they're ripping on Ringo. And I like that because Ringo sucks. Anyway, hey, thanks so much for watching. Like I said before, if you could share this, I would appreciate it. But anyway, thanks so much for watching, and toodaloo.